Good morning. So good to be with you this morning. I just thought I'd come online today to talk about something I heard on public radio this morning. I was listening to public radio, and there was some gentleman on there talking about why they were having such a hard time in Sherman Park, where they have several hundred buildings to be rehabbed, and um, appears that they can't find enough black workers, or shall we say the dog whistle word is minority workers, to work on these jobs. My question is always, um, why not due diligence? Did we have due diligence? Today is August the 25th, 2017. I'm Lahavre Buck, Apostle Lahavre Buck. I'm kind of disturbed because when I hear this, it reminisces of other things that I have experienced in my life in the construction business as a trucker, as a contractor. And a lot of times what we find ourselves doing is that people use all kind of excuses. And that's where the saying says due diligence. Did you truly try to find employees? And another question is, if you happen to get a employee of that lives in the neighborhood who does not have the right attitude or skills, did you go somewhere and try to recruit from places who are training people? Big Step, Conservation Corps, Northcott, those kind of places who have already trained people, educated people to work on these jobs? Or are we just making excuses for why we cannot find the people that we want because we don't want them? Now, let's think about this whole deal of people with bad attitudes. I remember having a very close friend of mine, a Caucasian young lady, who came to me one day after we had a meeting at City Hall, and she says, Reverend Buck, I don't think I'm going to hire any more black people because the black woman I have working for me, she has such a bad attitude. I don't think I'm going to hire any more black people. So, to me, that's a dog whistle. That's an excuse. What I find is that I asked her, I said, if that would have been a white girl with a bad attitude, would you make a general overview statement policy for your nonprofit not to hire any more white girls? See, when we start saying I tried, and then when you say I tried, and then I'm not going to try no more because I had a bad experience with one person, so now the whole group of people aren't worth trying to hire. There's some kind of problem with that in my particular thought or in my particular feelings. So when we start talking about who is qualified by attitude and attitude only, it appears to me that we're just cutting out people because we don't want to hire, don't want to do due diligence. Or maybe we didn't want to hire people, black people, in the first place. Or as people say, minority people, whatever the word you want to use, whatever the catchword or catchphrase is. And that reason I give myself a reason for not hiring. Now, when we talk about these kind of things, you have to think about the Buck Stadium. They have black people, better known as African American, working on the buildings down there. I know it's true because I go through there and I see them working on the job. So it appears, and I know a couple of brothers that work down there on the job. So I know there gotta be people with the right attitude and the right skill level to work these jobs and work these positions. And if we want to talk historically, we can talk about how the unions and other people have kept minorities, black people, Latino people out of the workplace. And then here we are again finding excuses where money was designated because of the disorder, disruptive, people say, riot in Sherman Park. And here we are now. The excuse is we can't find nobody who can work down there. I'm trying to figure out the people of authority, the people in authority, the people down at City Hall. I'm sure these brilliant young people who hold these offices in the city have done everything possible to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. So let's talk about this. You don't have to talk to me, but let's talk about this. You can hook me up on Facebook, La Havre Buck, or you can email me at l2825@AOL, or you can come to my church at 2222 North 6th Street, Triumph the Church and Kingdom of God in Christ. Let's have a discussion about this, because I beg the difference that you cannot find any African American people to work on your job that don't have an attitude problem. I just can't believe that. And so since I can't believe that, I'm just have to hold you accountable. And I do know it costs money to train people. I do know that. I do know that everybody that goes on a job does not stay. I do know that. At one time in my life, I had a crew. One time in my life, I managed a NIP program at Harambe Amusement Park. At one time in my life, I owned a warehouse. At one time in my life, I employed people, so I do know attitudes. I do know about attitudes, but I'm trying to figure out who's doing the screening. Is there a screening process? Who's doing the checking? I know that Center for Self-Sufficiency has a program. Northcott has a program. Big Step has a program. Conservation has a program. So I'm asking those contractors and contractors everywhere, especially the contractors in Sherman Park. Have you really showed due diligence? Hey, I'm just a brother with an opinion. So let us step up to the plate. Get the job done. Excuses, I have a saying about excuses, but I can't say it publicly. So have a fantastic day. We'll talk whenever something causes me